There is so much talk about how attachment styles show up in romantic relationships, but attachment styles are how we show up in all relationships, including our friendships. We're going to be talking about the 4 attachment styles and how they show up in their friendships, and we're going to give some strategies, some things that we can do to be more secure and to have more connected, fulfilling relationships. So, if you are new here, welcome. Hi, hello. So good to see you. If you are joining us again, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Welcome. Welcome to the Socially Delightful Podcast. I'm Jewel. I have over 5,000 hours of coaching individuals from all over the world on high-functioning social anxiety, feeling connected, especially in their friendships, and authentic charisma. I am trauma-informed, I'm doing work to center connection on a systemic level, and I am always learning. And I'm absolutely delighted that you are here. So let's dive into this episode. This episode I'm super excited about because learning about my attachment style has been absolutely instrumental in me having literally all of the relationships that I have now, even the self-confidence that I have now, the relationship I have with myself now, and how I'm able to regulate and be there for myself. It has completely changed my life, and I'm just ecstatic to share all of this with you. So for those of you that aren't familiar with attachment styles are really just how we relate to other people. So attachment styles typically form through our past relationships with our caregivers. So if our caregiver was very secure and, was doing authoritative, gentle parenting, we were more likely to end up with a secure attachment. If our caregiver was frightening and unpredictable, we are more likely to end up with a disorganized attachment. Really, attachment styles at the end of the day are just about how we relate to other people, the relational habits that we have. The best way, I think, to really think about this is that our attachment styles really show us what are our habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in relationships. One way that attachment styles really come out is through when we are feeling threatened or vulnerable and we have this urge to protect ourselves in some kind of way. So let's dive into the 4 attachment styles and how they behave in friendships and what they can work on, starting with the secure attachment. So the secure attachment style, I think it's helpful to think of this as the chill, emotionally available bestie. So their vibe is oh my gosh, I love you. Let's get dinner next week. So secure attachments, they're more likely to show up with initiating plans, but also not panicking if it takes you a minute to reply to those said plans. They show up for your wins and your hard days without keeping score, keeping tally in the friendship of who's supporting who and how much. They're not doing that. Secure attachment styles, they're more likely to, when there's a misunderstanding, talk it out instead of making an entire script in their head about how you obviously are ghosting them and totally hate them. Secure attachment styles are able to have space in the friendship without spiraling, and they're also able to have closeness without smothering and or feeling smothered. These are the friends who give you a long hug, ask you how you're really doing, and then can make you laugh about the worst part of your week, right? So in a group chat, a securely attached person might sound oh my gosh, totally cool if this weekend doesn't work. Let's find another time. Love you so much. Now, we might think that securely attached people, that's the goal. The goal is to be securely attached. Look, okay, they don't have anything to work on. But I don't necessarily think that's true. I think in our hyper-individualist society, there's a lot of things that a lot of us can work on, so all of us can have more meaningful, connected friendships and relationships. So what I would say the most powerful growth for securely attached individuals to work on is this. 1, deepening capacity for interdependence. Y'all, we live in a culture that celebrates radical independence. And instead, let's just let people show up for us without guilt, without apology, without having to do everything all on our own and be completely rid of needing or relying on other people in any way, shape, or form. And if you're okay, well, I kind of get that. I'm kind of on board, but I don't really know what that looks like. I think definitely check out the last episode on how I approached my birthday, because I think that's such a great example for interdependence. Like, with myself and my autonomy, I was able to meet that need in a lot of ways on my own, but I was also able to invite my friends and ask my friends for the support that I wanted. I wanted letters and words of encouragement. That's what would make me feel the most loved, and I asked for it without guilt, without any apology. And y'all, it's good, it's healthy. Hyper independence, doing absolutely everything on your own, being 100% self-reliant, is not healthy. Even if the culture that we are currently existing in is saying so, it's not. Science says otherwise. So when we deepen our capacity for interdependence, friendship can become even more so of a two-way exchange of vulnerability, of presence, of connection. And I think as securely attached individuals, we can all challenge each other to do that a bit more through this. So the second thing that I would suggest securely attached people to work on is also practicing repair as a relational ritual and habit. So repair, we typically think about this in terms of romantic relationships, and mostly just because most of the time in romantic relationships, we're doing things like living life with that person and sharing a space with that person, a household with that person. So we're more likely to get in an argument with our partner over the trash, right? And so these arguments and things like that set us up to have more repair conversations with our partners, where maybe like, hey, yeah, that was not cool of me, of how I approached that conversation. Totally get where you're coming from. I'm sorry. Okay, we're good. Moving on, right? But we can have more of those repair conversations in our friendships. And I think as securely attached people, it's up to us, it's up to the securely attached individuals to model that and lead by example in showing, like, hey, we can open up these conversations, these more vulnerable conversations, and have more repair, right? So this doesn't have to be that done all of the time, but opening up for repair conversations just a little bit more in your friendships is going to drastically change the connections that you feel, open up like a whole new world for everybody, right? Like, these small acts, y'all, they're really us being vulnerable and connective and relationally brave. And doing this is what really builds a culture of secure friendship for everybody. Okay, the next attachment we're going to be talking about is the anxious attachment. So this is kind of like the, oh my gosh, do you hate me kind of friend. So their vibe is typically like they will send one message, and then if you don't reply in 2 hours, they'll be like, sorry if that was weird, I didn't mean it like that, I love you, please don't hate me, right? So anxiously attached individuals are more likely to over apologize or over explain themselves because they fear being too much. They may feel hurt if you hang out with somebody else and didn't invite them, even if you had zero ill intent. Anxiously attached individuals might keep score of like who is initiating, like, oh my gosh, I've been initiating the past 5 times, this friend hasn't, right? Because they really want to feel chosen, and they're scared that they aren't. Anxiously attached individuals often read too much into tone. So like, okay, did that text have like a lack of emojis? This person's not really responding, stuff like that. Anxiously attached individuals may also overextend themselves and try to be overly helpful and overly agreeable to earn love, right? And they may also feel like they are too needy, and they might mask or micromanage how they show up. Hello, social perfectionism. So in a group chat, anxiously attached individuals might sound like, I'm free whenever y'all are, unless that's annoying. I'm fine with anything, unless I'm being clingy, lol, never mind. Right? So because anxious attachers are often over-functioning and people-pleasing in friendships, the main growth for them is to learn that they are enough without over-efforting, and that space within their relationships does not equal rejection. So the most powerful work for anxiously attached individuals, in my opinion, is 1, Building building internal safety. So before seeking external reassurance. So before you go and ask somebody for reassurance, giving yourself that internal safety of, I'm still okay, even if they don't respond right away, right? Giving yourself some reassurance, practicing that first. The second thing is releasing over responsibility. So letting go of the belief that you are responsible for everybody's feelings and everybody's experience in the friendship. Friendship is not a performance. It's a shared space. And you don't have to manage the vibe to be loved, my dear friend. Release some of that responsibility. The third thing is to tolerate emotional ambiguity. So confident I could say it. Tolerating emotional ambiguity. Nick, can you put it here? Just the word.
Ambiguity,
whatever. Without reactivity. So, y'all, this kind of relates to number one, and also kind of relates to number two as well. But sit with the unknown for a second. Again, reassure yourself. Some emotional regulation here, some deep breath, some grounding, right? So if somebody is delaying a text, right? They're not getting back to you, or you're getting a short reply from a friend, or you're hanging out with a quiet friend, learning to feel that discomfort, to regulate, to reassure yourself, to be like, I'm not responsible for this other person's feelings, right? Doing all of the things we mentioned. Learning how to feel without spiraling is what helps you build durable connections, security, and even self-confidence as you go forward. Okay, the next attachment style is the avoidant attachment. Now this is like the low-key friend who loves you from a distance, right? So their vibe is like, oh, I care about you deeply, but I'll probably act like everything's fine instead of telling you that I'm overwhelmed.
I'm getting overwhelmed!
Right? So avoidant, this is sometimes also called dismissive avoidant. Avoidantly attached people are likely to prioritize independence and often feel drained by too much emotional closeness. Avoidantly attached people are also more likely to, disappear for weeks and not realize that it's hurtful. They're often more likely to express love through acts of service and practical help rather than emotional vulnerability. They may also feel deeply but not feel safe expressing it. So instead, they prefer low maintenance friendships. They may also get overwhelmed by expectations and they might distance themselves if they feel too needed. They may become confused with emotionally expressive friends and assume that they're being smothered. In a group chat, I would say that avoidantly attached individuals are more likely to respond with a thumbs up or just liking the message and thinking that's a perfectly valid, beautiful contribution. So, because avoidant attachers often minimize or suppress their relational needs, we know connection still matters. It's essential for mental health. As my mentor always says, connection is the foundation for mental health, right? So the work really for avoidant attached individuals is in reclaiming their right to depend on others within themselves, to reclaim that right to depend on others, and to slowly start increasing emotional intimacy in ways that feel safe and real. So the most powerful work for avoidantly attached individuals, in my humble opinion, is one, acknowledging and validating your need for connection to start with, right? This really begins with giving yourself that internal permission. It's human to need closeness. Validate it. Warm up to the idea that you may be craving connecting with other humans, that you can rely on other humans. All right. The second thing is expanding emotional range in safe friendships. So practicing not just sharing facts or updates, but sharing the emotional reality. So instead of just saying it's fine, actually try, like, you know what? It's not just fine. That was actually kind of hard, right? Emotional expression makes intimacy possible. And it's not oversharing, even if it feels like it in the beginning. And then the third thing avoidantly attached individuals can do is to stay present when vulnerability arises. So instead of withdrawing when a friend opens up, or when you start to really feel things and then you have that urge to like, yeah, no, this is too much. I need to be completely alone and handle this all by myself. Pause. Literally just stay in the moment. Just breathe. Stay in your body. Practice being present when vulnerability arises. This really rewires the impulse to flee when things are starting to get too close. Now, we have the disorganized attachment. So these are the kind of friends, they're like, I want to be close, but also like, don't touch me kind of friend. So this attachment style, the disorganized attachment style, their vibe is I crave intimacy, but I also assume that you're going to abandon me. So I'm going to reject you before you reject me. Okay? Y'all, you hear that attitude with it? It can be very defensive. And I know because this right here is my older attachment style. Now, one thing that is really important for all of us to understand about these attachment styles is that they're not like hard boxes. They're a spectrum. And there's going to be a lot of ways where you're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm secure in a lot of ways. And then also I can see how maybe I'm a bit anxious over here, right? It's a spectrum. It's not a hard box. So you might be or do a little bit of all of these things in some way, shape, or form. And disorganized attachment, the best way I think to describe it and to really understand it is that it's a combination of being anxious and avoidant. It's a combination of the avoidant and the anxious attachment. And it just creates a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of relationships, right? So typically how disorganized attached people show up is that they swing between being really clingy and being really distant. And so they're probably going to come off really hot and cold because they're really managing a constant internal, the push-pull of wanting connection, but fearing it, right? Disorganized attached individuals are also more likely to have trouble trusting others and trusting themselves, right? Disorganized attached individuals, y'all, I have done this, okay? Right? We may often test our friends' loyalty without even realizing that that's what we're doing. And it might look like, I bet if I like stop texting first, they'll disappear. Testing their loyalty. Disorganized attached individuals may also both fear being too much and not enough in the same conversation, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm being too annoying, I'm being too graspy, they're judging me, to immediately, oh my gosh, I'm being boring, I'm uninterested, I'm not enough, they don't love me. In the same conversation. Now, also, and this is true for all attachment styles in some way, shape, or form, but disorganized attached individuals often carry trauma, and that's what is making the connection feel unsafe, even when it's healthy. So, in a group chat, disorganized attached individuals may start by saying that like they are dying to hang out and then change their mind 3 times, and then it end with like, whatever, I'm just annoying, forget it, defensive. So because connection both feels like a need and a threat, the healing for disorganized attached individuals, the healing lies in helping your nervous system and your mind make sense of the chaos, so connection can become less threatening and more possible. So the most powerful work for the disorganized attached individuals is 1, emotional regulation, checking in with yourself before, during, and even after social contact. So practice calming your nervous system before texting, before hanging out, and before responding to like a perceived rejection, right? So use tools like grounding, breath work, or even just like orienting to safety in whatever way that feels good to you. So in whatever ways that help you feel safe in your body. This is essential because safety in relationships is essential for connection, and safety must be felt to be believed. I know this is so true, like this is so true, because when I had like great, wonderful friends that were around, but I couldn't feel safe and secure with them, right? I couldn't just believe I was safe with them. I needed to practice feeling safe within my body and then safe within these relationships. The second thing disorganized attached individuals can do is to start understanding and naming their triggers, and to do so with compassion. So learn to recognize the moments that set off your fear response. So if somebody is like sounding distracted, isn't talking to you, if you're starting to feel misunderstood, recognize, my disorganized attachment is here, right? Like my rejection alarm is going off right now. Label that, because doing this, recognizing, bringing awareness to this helps break the cycle of internalized shame, and it helps you stay present instead of defaulting to withdrawal or panic, right? And I will also add, this only helps when you are just like, oh, I recognize this. Okay, it makes sense. Rather than, oh, my disorganized attachment is here. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to change. It's never going to get any better. Blah, blah, blah. Being compassionate with yourself is essential. And the third thing that disorganized attached individuals can do, now I will say, this third thing is probably going to be more helpful if you have already started building in more secure habits. I couldn't do this at the beginning of me like supporting and being there for and changing my attachment style. Like when I was in the middle of we're at the height of feeling disorganized attachment, like really acting from that place, I couldn't do this at that time. I could only do this after I had healed and become more secure. The third thing that I think is really powerful work for disorganized attached individuals is to like build a new blueprint through safe and consistent friendships. So instead of chasing connections, prioritize people who are going to show up for you predictably. And y'all, sometimes this might feel boring at first, but over time, these safe relationships, being in safe relationships with other people, helps you also repattern your nervous system. And the repetition and the consistency of these safe friendships teach your body and your brain that non-halt intimacy is dangerous. So those are the 4 attachment styles in friendships. And whether you are the, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, that is weird, or you're the super, super low-key friend, or you are the friend who wants closeness but expects people to just drop you. Y'all, I hope this episode, wherever you are at, this episode helps you understand why those behaviors are coming up and helps you soften into something new, right? Like, we are here to create more safe, fulfilling, meaningful friendships so we can show up with more trust and ease and have more joy. And that is what I want for you. So if this podcast meant something to you, it would mean so much to me if you shared this to your Instagram story, and or if you let me know in the comments about what you want to hear next. I am so delighted that you came and took the time to hang out with me today. You have no idea how much it means to me that there are people that actually listen to this. So thank you so much. And this episode, I forgot, oh my gosh, at the beginning of the episode, I forgot to say, this episode goes out to the college kids that I met at NACA in St. Paul, because I had such amazing conversations with y'all after teaching a workshop. And this episode, I was already thinking of doing an episode on this, and I was like, no, I need to get this out as soon as possible. So this one is for y'all. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to come to your schools. And if you want to learn more about what workshops I have to offer, you can go to connectionwithjewel.com/speaking. You can get all the tea on that too if you were from the colleges. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm so delighted that you took the time to be here, and I hope you have a delightful week. Talk to you soon.